What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we're going to be talking about the most disappointing cards in NBA 2K21. So, lads, basically, I saw a video by Unbeatable Jacob where he gave his top 10. We'll leave a link in the description, and I'm going to give you my top 10 most disappointing cards. These are cards that we either were really excited for and the cards ended up being worse than they should have been, or like 2K really hyped them up and they ended up just being bad cards. Or average cards. So, anyway, before we get on to it, first of all, go sub to Jacob, a link will be in the description. And also, lads, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We put more MyTEAM content. If you just want to hear my team talk, this is honestly the best place for it. We're trying to 265,000 subscribers by NBA 2K21. And right now we are about 6.3k off, so it's going to be close. I think we're going to hit it, but it's going to be very, very close. So anyway, now let's get on to the top 10. At number 10, we got Ralph Sampson. If you guys don't know about Ralph Sampson, he is in fact the lock-in reward for Idol Series 2. So lads, Idol Series 2 was probably one of the worst received sets of all time, because it was being dropped around like in Season 6 when I think the last two in Season 6, no one really was ever hyped for Idols, and basically we all thought there was going to have to be some god tier Idol Series 2 reward. And they dropped Ralph Sampson. And I know you might be saying, Ralph Sampson's pretty good, and I agree. But he came out with a 7'2" wingspan. So he came out with T-Rex arms. And if you've got like T-Rex arms, it is going to negatively affect you. And the problem was that the same day that this card came out, this card was put in triple threat boards. And Wilt was just... I'm not sure if Wilt's better than Ralph now, because obviously Ralph got the wingspan boost, but before the wingspan boost, Wilt was way better than Ralph Sampson. And they both had the exact same jump shot as well. It's like Wilt was just way better, and he was also like 100k, but it was like a million talking Sampson. So it was like, was it a smart decision to do? No. And for me, anyway, Ralph Sampson was most definitely a kind of card we were kind of hoping, or we were hoping to have hype for. We were all kind of holding out to see whatever god tier card, because like Mullen, or it's not Mullen, Webber's the best card in the game when he came out. I reckon his Jokic card for Series 3 is going to be great, and until they updated the wingspan of Ralph Sampson, he really was not good. He was really, really not good. And that's still, he still costs a little bit, doesn't he? Like, he's not even worth, he's worth about 100k. You see KG, Westbrook, are these all buyouts? Melo's a buyout. I know Yao and AD are buyouts. They're very cheap, those two. So yeah, in fairness, like it is about 400k, but still it's way too expensive for this card. So at number 9, we're going back to the very start of the year, and some of these guys are going to be at the very start of the year, because it's hard for cards to be disappointing when nowadays when 2K gives every single card the exact same dribble sigs, a good jump shot, and very quick. But for me, this card has to be one of the most disappointing cards. Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy, we were so looking forward to Brandon Roy when he came out. And like, he came out he came out in Flash 1. But if you guys don't remember, or was he Flash 1 or Flash 2? September 25th. No, he was Flash 1. So, you can see, the day that Brandon Roy came out, we got Stockton, KD, who were way better. They were so much better. Even, I'm saying this right now, Diao was probably the second best player in this set, because Diao could hold every badge. And like, everyone badged up their Diaos. I was running Diao for the longest time. I had a juiced up Diao at like half range, half clamps, half quick first step. It was just the most juiced card ever. But yeah, so Kevin Durant, Diao, Stockton were all better than Brandon Roy. Roy only had an 82 3-ball. His release was on normal timing, because that's what everyone's release on at the time. Didn't have the greatest dribble sigs. The problem was he had silver steady, no range extender, and you couldn't put range on him, and he couldn't hold clamps either. So he couldn't do much. He really couldn't do much. I know some people had success in him because of his hot zones, and the way the game was played at that stage, he wasn't the worst card in the world, but like, he was not as good as Houston. There were legitimately 10k MT cards that were better than this card. And I just remember when this card came out, like 2 weeks later, like October the 9th, Like 2 weeks later, Bruce Bowen came out, who was 2000 MT and just better. He may not seem it, but he was legitimately just better than Brandon Roy. So yeah, Brandon Roy in here at number 9. And honestly, if he had come a bit later, he'd be higher. But again, even if he was Flash 1, it was so disappointing because everyone was so hyped up. At number 8, we've got a card that I actually do have myself. I got this card myself. I regret getting him. I do. I really do. Where is he? Season rewards. Season 6. JR. He was terrible even on day 1. So basically, what ended up happening with J.R. Smith is that he ended up being he was the level 40 reward, but people were able to get him like 3 days into the season because there was the weird thing with Tyronn Lue where if you use the Tyronn Lue, you got JR. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was actually a good idea. I'm going to say it right now. I actually do think it was a pretty good idea, but I wish that it had been like halfway through the season instead of day 1 in the season. And because people got J.R. Smith straight away, they couldn't update his badges. J.R. wasn't even as good as Pink Eyes Luka. Like, he was not as good as Luka. J.R. Smith, his stats were good. Yeah, they were. Trust me. 95, 95, 96, 97 driving. No, the problem is that he is terrible behind the back. And even though on this card here, he had the best behind the back in the game in Pro 3, they just took it off him. And base 49 on quick. It really was not great. And then, to rub salt in our wounds, left-handed JR came out. That season. KPJ was just better than JR Smith. He was just better. He was just JR, but better. And he came out in the same season as JR came out. Like, this has... You might think he should be higher, honestly. And if you want to say he's higher, I'm not going to disagree with you. But for me, he's in here at number 8 on this list right here. At number 7, this guy was hyped, and then people got him and realized something scary. The card is Magic Johnson Finals. So this card for his time looked like he could be good. The way the meta was at that time, it was a lot of kind of rim running, shooting. It was a lot of drive and kick. There wasn't much 3 hunting going on. And the fact that, again, he had the likes of goal post spin technician, people thought he was going to be with the Pro 3 behind the back. And yeah, no one thought he was going to be able to shoot. We knew Magic couldn't shoot. But what people thought they were going to be able to do with Magic was Pro 3 behind the back, rim run, deep hash, 2K20 style. And then they discovered the stutter run. This was when people discovered the stutter run. And this was before everyone knew about... Well, people knew about the speed burst, but before people really knew how to like combo out of it really effectively. The stutter run. The stutter run. Magic Johnson could not run. He could not sprint at this time. This was before people were spamming behind the backs into speed boosts and just absolutely ridiculous dribbling. This was in the start of October. The game had only been out a month. People knew about the speed glitch. No one really used it. But at this stage in the game, Magic Johnson, I'm telling you, this card was so hyped and everyone got, loads of like competitive players got the card. And within one game, they're like, why can't he run? They didn't know what it was. Everyone thought it was the Magic Johnson dribble style. And then all of these cards here all have the quick dribble style, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Dribble style doesn't matter. Magic Johnson could not run until they took away his stutter run for his dark matter. But this card is most disappointing because people were so hyped up because Magic was the best point guard for a long time in 2K20. And then people, and especially because without the tween, which was, if it wasn't for the tween, Magic was the best point guard in 2K20 the whole year. People were so hyped up, and the fact that the stutter run ruined the card, and this is when everyone discovered that was a thing. He's got to be on the most disappointing list. At number 6, we got a card that may be the worst current gen card I had ever seen for his time to go for over 100k. He was a trash can. And when I mean trash can, I mean he was garbage. There was no redeemable qualities about this Luka Doncic when he first came out. So Luka Doncic, if you guys don't know, I wish this was like 2K Empty Central when you used to be able to look at like previous iterations. So first of all, Luka couldn't play defense. Yeah, he got gold range. Not great speed. Couldn't play point guard. Jump shot was pretty good though. Hot zones were alright. And you might be thinking, oh, this is not too bad. Base 29 is a good release. Normal 2's size up and escape. Normal 2 is really good. It's one of the best in the game. Like if you're looking at players with the normal 2 size up, it's only Sean Kemp, Shaq, freaking Kelly Olynyk, Anthony Davis. It's the best side to side in the game. And he had shifty dribble style. This is post this Luka card. I think when this Luka, or say not this Luka, where's the Diamond Luka? The Diamond Luka. This is post January Luka. So basically, when this Diamond Luka came out, they changed up everything with Luka. But the problem with this Luka Doncic here is that he didn't have base 29. He had like set shot 12 or something. And not only that, he had basic escapes, all basic dribble moves. He was the only guard in the game with basic dribble moves. This Luka right now is bad, and he also had power dribble style. This Luka here is bad. The Luka that first came out in November, because I wish I could go back and I'm actually going to try find it now. I'm going to try find it now. EBG draft worth it. So we are going to go right here, and we are going to see what the Luka was actually like. This was a crazy stream. Oh my god, the good old mustache. Let's have a look at the SIGs on Luka. He had set shot 19, normal 1, basic all dribble stop moves. He was the only guard in the game with basic dribble moves. I'm telling you, this Luka was the worst for his time headline card I've ever seen in the history of my team. He was a trash can. He was an absolute trash can. And at number 4, we have got a guy that 2K in their dev blog talked about someone new coming into my team. A player is returning to my team and is going to be the first prime player. And trust me, he's going to be game breaking. It's freaking Manu Ginobili. It's Manu Ginobili. Manu sucked. Manu even sucked for his time. He wasn't a top 5 2 guard for his time. He really wasn't. Like, again, we can see what he is right here. He's an 88 3 ball, 88 speed, which was alright. Problem was he couldn't shoot from the left-hand side of the floor, and he had one of the worst releases in the game. Pro 6 behind the back was good. Yeah, shifty dribble style, great. Next gen didn't exist at the time. Like, this batch here, like Porzingis and like Paul George was 100 times better than Manu Ginobili. Heck, Patty Mills was better than Manu Ginobili, because at least he had 98. He had 98 on quick. Manu Ginobili was not. He was not even in the conversation for best card the day he came out. No one ran Manu. Bronze clamps. Couldn't hold range. Couldn't shoot the ball because of his release. He was so bad. Which is why he's in at number 4. Especially because of how much 2K hyped him up. Like he was going to be this absolute god tier player. They hyped him up like he was going to be a god. At number 4. You guys are going to hate me. I think this card was... The only reason this card's not number 1 is because he's good on current gen. Kobe, he was the most expensive card in the game for about 6 weeks. And if you're looking at out of position cards, or even this day, Hill better, KD way better. You know what? He was probably the 3rd best card. I will say he's better. LaMelo was ball better than Kobe. He was the 4th best player that came out today. Better than Weber. But his stats look perfect. And there's one huge problem with this card. And on current gen, he's pretty good. First of all, Kobe only on quick. Kobe on quick is not good on current gen. It's okay on next gen. Problem is that the Kobe Bryant dribble style, he can't move on next gen. Like 96 speed, it might as well be 75. He is slow as anything. Can't quick stop, he's unusable. And also, his best position was the 2 guard, and he can't play at the 2. This has been rectified, thankfully, by... Whatever Invincible Kobe, no one can afford Invincible Kobe. This has been rectified by this Kobe Bryant being a really good, affordable Kobe. I rate this Kobe very, very highly. I have no bad words to say about this card. He's fantastic. This card sucks. Especially on next gen. He's good enough on current gen. He was decent for his time on current gen, but like still, like when this card came out, we were, what were we, 2 weeks away from Simmons being out? Grant Hill was there? Like I don't think anyone was really, like Luka was always better than this guy. Grant Hill and Luka. Like he wasn't even making most of his best teams, and on next gen he wasn't even a top 10 point guard. He was just poor for his time. The fact he's the most expensive card in the game for a number of weeks was rough. And at number 3, oh lads, the fact that there are 2 cards more disappointing than this. Like if you did this grind, you know. If you know what I'm about to hit, you know. You know. Baron Davis. Galaxy Opal Baron Davis. So we were so excited for this card. Because we all knew. Because this Baron Davis didn't exist. This Baron Davis existed. So we knew it had Dame base. He had Dame base on quick, Pro 5 behind back, Pro 2 escape. We knew all of that. We didn't really know about quicker shifty at the time. So I'm not even going to hold that against him. But we all assumed, okay, we see this card right here, 9 Hoff badges. We're definitely going to get range extender brought up. And it's either going to be Hoff blinders or no blind. Hoff steady or no steady. And then we were like, okay, he might get Hoff clamps, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. We looked at these stats being like, these stats are really good. And then the card came out. Gold steady, which is the worst of both worlds. Like it's good on next gen, but it's not. The gap between gold and Hoff is bigger than the gap between no steady and gold steady. Or gold blinders and Hoff blinders. And his steady's just not good on current gen in general. And he only had gold handles for days. He only had gold clamps. He also still had the base dribble style, Dame release on quick. And there was something about him in game. Like his stats and stuff weren't bad. Like, I remember grinding so hard to get the guy. I lost sleep trying to get this guy. Because the problem was that he came out the day before the second to last 250k qualifiers. I remember I didn't sleep the night before. And I grinded so hard to get this guy, and he just stunk up the place. I remember it was literally just Eddie Jones speed burst. That was the only thing I did every single possession, because I couldn't do anything with Baron Davis because he was terrible. He couldn't guard anyone. He couldn't do anything. Baron Davis, in my opinion, was, even though his stats don't look too bad, especially for December, there was something about him on the 30th of December. He was just terrible. I don't know what it was. He was just terrible. So, number two. And if you know me, you know that this card has to be somewhere here. We're going to retro. And one of the most disappointing things is that 2K stopped retro in Season 5. But lads, it has to be. Hedo Turkoglu. It has to be. You look at Hedo and you're like, how do I hate Hedo? He's 6'10". He can curry on next gen. He's got 90 speed. He's got good badges. Off steady. He's got base 11 or Aldridge base. Lads, Aldridge base is so bad, they won't even give it to LaMarcus Aldridge. Only Hedo, Lamar Odom, and Juwan Howard have this release. And you know what? When Lamar Odom came out, so he came out on the 12th of March. If you remember with Lamar Odom, so when Lamar Odom's Quantum card came out, they gave him Paul George base. When an updated Gilbert Arenas came out, this time, obviously this is a lot later, this is a couple of months later, he still got Trey Burke base. So they basically were getting rid of people at base 11 because they realized how bad it was. But no, the one player kept it. And the most disappointing thing about it is that this is a retro for one of the greatest cards in MyTEAM history. This is a like, if this was just a normal, I don't even care. I'm not even going to say this Hedo Turkoglu. I don't care if Hedo's bad. Like, if this was just a random Galaxy Opal Hedo, I would not care that he's bad. But he is a retro of the most overpowered card in the history of MyTEAM. One of only, actually no, maybe the most overpowered card. Day 1 Mirasan was, week 1 Mirasan was OP. But one of only two cards, Mirasan and Hedo, are the only two players in MyTEAM history to have been nerfed. They're the only two players in MyTEAM history to have been nerfed by 2K. And this Hedo Turkoglu is a trash can. He is a trash can. 2K turned one of the most iconic players, one of the most iconic players in the history of my team, into a trash can. And I'm not sure how easily that can be forgiven. But there is only one card that is more disappointing than this. The most disappointing player in my team is Hedo Turkoglu. And the most disappointing card in my team are these coaches. They are these coaches. Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson. 2K spent all of Season 5 hyping up the hero set. They spent the whole season talking about how you're going to want to grind every one of these cards, because all of these cards took a lot of time to get. Like, the cards I have are either cheap ones or the free ones. They all took a lot of time to grind. And they basically said you're going to want to keep up and get all these cards because there's going to be game-changing rewards. And everyone thought, and this was the easiest thing 2K could have ever done. First of all, 2K could have, because the packs had Zion Williamson and Jordan, they could have just made Zion Williamson and Jordan the lock-ins. That would have made perfect sense. But it was right there. LeBron James, Dark Matter. Kobe Bryant, Dark Matter. It was there for them. But they made, it was it used to be like 3 million MT when it came out to lock in for these sets. Lock in for each of these sets. So for 5 million MT, you could get Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. I think it was between 5 and 6 million for Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. Phil Jackson's in-game player phase looks like Colonel Sanders, and Greg Popovich gives you plus 10 to a bunch of stats that don't really matter. But the most disappointing thing is, it's not that these were bad coaches, but because they weren't. They are still probably the best coaches. First of all, no one wants a Pop defensive coach, because the only thing that really does is give everyone on your team, versus the other Pop. The +5 Pop defensive coach was actually better, because it meant that you could still get sharp takeover on all your players, and all your players didn't get lock takeover. Popovich was glitched. They messed up his stats. So for the first 3 weeks, the only thing he actually did was boost a +10 3-pointer. The rest were like offensive consistency and stuff that don't matter. So he didn't actually do anything except for boost a 3-pointer +10. But you could already get a +7 3-point boost from like a couple of like floor generals, other coaches, and shoots. Like, you already get big 3-point boosts from those. So people were just like, okay, he's great, but he was great for like 5 cards. Like, if you were on a Kermit Washington, Giannis, or like Ben Wallace, he was good. He was good. Problem is that when he came out, about 2 weeks after he came out, not even 2 weeks, a week after he came out was the start of Season 6. And we got the radioactive set. And from Season 6 onwards, basically every single card had a near 90 3-pointer. And you didn't even need Phil Jackson to get it to basically perfect rating. So he kind of became worthless right away. If these coaches had been, for example, if instead of Dr. J, what would have been huge was if instead of like Dr. J, we had Phil Jackson at the start of the year. Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich would have been insane coaches at the start of the year. Problem was that by the time they came out, they were like, every card basically had a perfect shooting, perfect stats anyway. And then another big problem is that 2K spent the whole of Season 5 hyping up everybody. They announced this whole big thing. They said there's going to be this huge announcement during the 250k stream. And everyone tuned in to hear the announcement. And all that was in every single chat was just people spamming L's. Which is people spamming L's. These are the most disappointing cards in the history of my team. They're the most disappointing cards. And you know they're disappointing when they keep the garbage man Hedo Turkoglu off number 1. The fact that the most iconic player in the history of this channel, I just knocked something down. The most iconic player in the history of this channel, the most iconic player for me personally, became a garbage man. And he still didn't make number 1 because of how disappointing these two coaches were. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.